Woe be unto him who opens one of the 7 gateways to hell, because through that gateway, evil will invade the world.
It has begun!
It's showtime.
I must break.
I'll be back.
This is Video Store Clerks. Welcome to the store.
What up, beautiful people? It is Tuesday, 10 p.m. We are here, your video store clerks. If you had noticed, 2 of the horsemen are not here at the moment. Dave went on a little hiatus walkabout with David Carradine from Kung Fu. And Mike is having some minor technical issues with an update through Windows 11, because Windows 11 apparently is not as good as they claim. So hopefully he pops in here in a bit. But as for now, you got me, the Chad Man.
Joe Nasty.
Lucio Nasty.
Lucio Nasty.
And tonight we'll be talking about part of the what is it, the Gateway trilogy?
It's the unofficial like Gates to Hell trilogy.
Gates to Hell.
Because you've got House by the Cemetery and City of the Living Dead and the Beyond are kind of like, it's weird because you can actually make them connect. This one is also known by 7 Doors of Death.
Yes.
Which is how I found out about it. Yeah. Which I guess I could go ahead and say it, but sorry, had a whoo for a moment. No, I found out about this movie when I was a kid, going to Meijer on Halloween, and they would have all these like cheap old school horror movies. And for like $5, it was 7 Doors of Death. And I was like, well, this looks gory. So I got it. And then watched it, and I was like, wow, at the time I hadn't seen anything like it. It was always one of my favorites. I was like, man, 7 Doors of Death, love that movie, blah, blah, blah. Many years later, I found out that, one of my friends were like, man, you seen the Beyond? You seen the Beyond? Because I'd already seen like a bunch of Lucio Fulci stuff, and somehow, I don't know how I didn't put 2 and 2 together. I was like, no, I don't think I've ever seen the Beyond. Then I watched the Beyond and was like, oh, it's the same fucking movie. Gotcha.
They always tended to do that with some of the foreign films.
Yeah.
So yes, as we heard it tonight, we're going to be talking about Lucio Fulci's 1981 film, The Beyond. And we will also be going through the news and then a clip of the week. And then we'll throw in some ads for Mike's Laser Trading Company and some ads for Chuck with his books. And he has a couple new ones out. And then we will be hopefully announcing what we're doing next week if Mike makes it, because next week is his pick. This is Chuck's pick. But before we jump into the Beyond, let's jump into some news.
Here is a 10 TV world premiere video, The Ballad of Big Bad Keith. Okay, now can we pull up the tape, because we don't want to destroy these guys' music careers here. We had just obviously a little mistake, and I'd buy that record, but I'd also buy this one coming up, Big Bad Keith, in the machine shop maybe, who knows? It's a wrong tape too. Try it one more time. That was the Columbus Capital, little by little, Lou. I don't have to leave here till 9 o'clock tonight. You don't have that tape? Okay.
He is fired.
Yeah. That guy's
fired.
That's ridiculous.
All right, as usual, I have the top 10 box office numbers this week. Starting off with number 10, Captain America: Brave New World, still doing it. Did 1.3 mil this week, bringing its 8-week run up to $199 million. With number 9 being The Friend, did 1.6 mil this week. It's been out apparently for 2 weeks. I guess it had a little soft opening and only has done 1.7 mil in those 2 weeks.
I got a question.
I have no idea what it is.
Okay.
Or do I know what this
know
one is?
me?
Number 8, Hell of a Summer. First week out, did 1.7 mil. Not quite sure what that is either. I didn't go back and watch the trailer for it. I meant to, but then I had other things going on.
It's the camp slasher comedy that Finn.
I feel like it should be released more closer to the summertime. Seems like a weird time to put out a movie about the summer.
No, I mean
It's coming up, but it's still cold as fuck outside, and it's supposed to be spring.
but it looks actually really good. It looks like a fun one, and I saw some good reviews on it earlier, so I'm excited to see it.
All right. Number 7 is episode number 5.1 of The Chosen. Did 1.8 mil this week, bringing its 2 weeks up to 7.8 million. And then number 6, Death of a Unicorn, did 2.7 mil and did 8.4 mil in the last 2 weeks. Not doing very well.
I think it looks fun. I think it looks like a fun movie, whatever, you know.
I just think everybody else is like me and they're just over Jenna Ortega.
I'm kind of getting there myself.
I fucking love Paul Rudd.
Yeah, but I've heard a lot of reviews of people going, well, that wasn't nearly as good as I was hoping. Because it looks like it's going to be really funny. And a lot of people were saying it's really not very funny. So I don't know. I'm going to watch it at some point, but I'll wait till it's on Peacock.
Yep, I'll wait till it's on one of the streaming joints.
Yeah.
Number 5 is The Woman in the Yard, did 4.5 mil this week, bringing its 2-week release run up to $16.7 million.
I haven't really heard anybody talk about what they thought.
I heard it was very boring.
Figures.
All it is a lady in the front yard, and the whole movie she gets closer and closer to the house.
So it's like a Five Nights at Freddy's video game.
And then I hear that the kids are, I hear the boy is one of those just annoying kids that just bitch about everything.
Oh, great.
A little ungrateful punk.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, one of those. I hear the best actress, the best person in the movie actor-wise is the little girl. That's according to Cody Leach's video reviews.
Okay.
But number 4, Snow White, did 5.9 mil this week, bringing 3 weeks up to $77.3 million. Here's where it gets confusing. So number 3 is episode 5.3 of The Chosen. First week out is 6.9 million. So if 5.1 came out 2 weeks ago, and then 5.3 came out this week,
yeah.
What the fuck happened to number 2?
First off, my question is, what the fuck is The Chosen?
Religious thing, kind of like The Last Supper. It's like a spin-off series, I assume.
Okay, yeah.
It's called The Chosen Last Supper.
Well, maybe they did what what a lot of religious people do, and they decided to take a piece of the show out so it can't ever be seen again.
Might be. Who knows? Number 2 doesn't let me down. A Working Man. It's $7.3 million this week, but doing $27.8 million the last 2 weeks. I don't know where the fuck that went, but it hit something hard. And number 1, the newest movie out, big blockbuster for some reason, the Minecraft movie.
Oh.
First week out, it brought in $163 million. Fucking bonkers. Never played Minecraft, don't understand it. All I know is that movie looks terrible.
Well, the movie doesn't look that great. The show or the game, both my kids are really big fans of it. And it's definitely a favorite among kids on the spectrum, autism, because both my kids have it, and that just seems to be like the thing. And I actually understand why, for a lot of reasons, but like the music in it is really chill. It's just really chill music. Like there's a lot of times Dax will be playing at night and up front, and I'll be on the couch just listening to the music while I read.
Right.
And
Like elevator type music.
Kind of, yeah. Well, I mean, more. It's more just really just. I don't know, just really somber music, and it's kind of cool because, like, the people that play Minecraft and stuff, they can build like just. I mean, it's kind of. I didn't know much about Minecraft till recently, and the kids were telling me about it and shit, and I kind of get it. They get to build like their own islands and their own place and do this, and they take care of this and that, and it's kind of a cool little world for them, and they can kind of be creative too. So Minecraft, the game, I'm actually, it's one of those video games that, like, I am never upset when the kids want to play that, because it's there's nothing really negative about it that I can tell. There's so many other games out there that the kids love that are pretty fucking negative, and or got things that are hidden in it that are negative, and so. But yeah, the game, I understand it. I get it. The movie looks pretty horrendous, but I'll probably end up seeing that too, just like I did Five Nights at Freddy's.
I don't know. I'm getting like I used to love Jack Black, but now I'm just to the point where
I'm kind of over Jack Black.
Yeah,
kind of over Jack.
I don't know. Like back in the day, he was my shit.
Yeah, we all love Jack, but
yeah, Tenacious D. I love Tenacious D.
Yep, no more Tenacious D.
No.
So, yeah.
Well, that was the end of the box office hits. On to some depressing news to get it out of the way. As we all know and learned this week, after we got off the air last week, it was posted that Val Kilmer had passed on April 1st. We did a little tribute short on our YouTube channel if you want to go check it out. He will be missed. He was a very, very talented actor. He's in a lot of my favorite movies. I mean, I couldn't tell you how many times I've watched Real Genius. I mean, he was Batman. Jim Morrison, like, he was everybody. Like, he's so good. Top Gun, like, everything I've seen him in, this man succeeded.
Yeah.
And I can't forget about Heat. Like, that movie was fucking amazing.
Two of my favorite Val Kilmer movies are two that don't get talked about that much, I don't think. The Salton Sea.
See, I never saw that.
Man, you need to watch that movie. It is damn good. And then oh shit, really? Oh, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang with Robert Downey Jr. That movie's hilarious.
I want to say I saw that, but it's been forever ago.
Oh, dude, I'm probably gonna watch it before too long, because it's Val Kilmer's hilarious in it. Like, he's such an asshole to Robert Downey Jr. in it, but Val Kilmer he's hilarious. Like, I highly recommend those.
Yeah, like, I know whenever he did his little cameo at the end of the last Top Gun, the second one, whenever they had him in there and him and Tom Cruise did the big hug scene, like, that shit almost brought tears to my eyes.
Oh yeah,
that shit was just sad, because you knew sooner or later we were going to get the news.
Yeah. I'm. So they had when's that document? Is it that documentary about him already out?
I'm not too sure.
Yeah,
I want to say so. I think it came out a couple of years ago.
Like, I want to see it, but I want to see that and the Christopher Reeve one, and I know both of those are going to make me cry like a baby. So I don't.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, can't get mad at Doc Holliday.
Yeah, man. No,
I mean, I'm not a Western fan, but Tombstone.
It's one of the best.
It's up there. Like, it's definitely probably number one, or not tied for number one with, like, Quick and the Dead or something.
Right.
All right, enough depressing news. Well, this rest of this shit might be somewhat depressing. I don't fucking know.
Dennis the Menace died.
I saw that. I did forget to write that down, but I get tired of talking about celebrities' deaths on here. It's just depressing. I just had to make mention of Val Kilmer, because he was a fucking superstar.
Yeah, he was.
But anyway, Cinecon was this week, so a lot of news had dropped. The talks of Jim Carrey's The Mask is in talks of being remade, but a rated R version.
Oh, I wonder if it's going to be like the comic book.
So I don't know. Let's see who gets a hold of that one. Hopefully it's not Blumhouse.
Yeah, no shit. Like, see, I could be okay with that because originally The Mask was a little bit more violent and not like how he was in the movie at all. Have you ever looked? Do you remember the comic books at all?
No. I've heard people talk about how they're a little darker than the movie.
Oh yeah, he wore a leather jacket and he had chains and looked at porno and made all kinds of like really bad comments and beat the living shit out of people. It was pretty cool. So I'm okay.
On the other remake front, at CinemaCon, the Naked Gun remake posted their first trailer with Liam Neeson doing Liam Neeson stuff. So we still have that to look forward to. I kind of forgot that it was a thing. I thought we dreamt that shit because that just seemed like a bad dream. But it's definitely happening. You know what I mean? Like it's a thing.
What was your opinion about the trailer?
I just saw like a snippet of it. They just kind of had some still frame shots on YouTube that I saw.
Oh, that's got to be bad considering what.
So I don't know. Like I like Liam Neeson, but I don't think he can pull Frank Drebin off. But I'm trying to be positive as possible.
I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. So I will check it out. I do like Liam Neeson, but the original Naked Gun is a classic, and
it's big shoes. Big shoes.
It's really big shoes. Like I get that Neeson's got some big shoes as it is, but comedy wise, like he's funny. You've seen him in skits and shit, like late night talk shows and stuff. He's funny. He has humor.
He's definitely got a range for acting as well. So I mean,
which it actually might work out in his favor because he does have such a straight face when he's being goofy.
Yeah.
So I mean because that's how the original.
Sam Raimi's Darkman is my shit.
Right.
So fucking
I love
good.
that movie. Yeah.
So fucking good. And then Fubar, the Arnold Schwarzenegger series on Netflix, picked up for a season 2. They will be in the process of filming that shortly, and it should be out. The first look should be out on June 12th, I think they said, for the trailer.
I've never heard of that.
It's a good show. I watched season 1.
What's it
It's
about?
pretty funny. He's a secret agent, obviously. It's kind of like True Lies, but then his daughter becomes an agent, and he doesn't know, and nobody tells him, and then they end up working the same case. And that's how he finds out that she's a secret agent. So he's pretty pissed. It's not bad though.
So I guess him and Sylvester Stallone are back to butting heads again when it comes down to ratings now, huh?
I don't know. I mean,
I know they're cool now, but even when they're asked about things, they talk about certain things. Both of them, like they joke about things, but you can still tell that there's a little bit of resentment with certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now it's just they're old and playful about it.
Right.
They're grumpy old men.
They just realize they got to have fun with it now since.
Yeah, it doesn't matter now. Like they both succeeded.
No one's taking them seriously.
I mean, like they're two of the biggest action stars of our time,
right?
And they're in their golden era.
Yeah,
and if they're able to keep doing shit, hey, more power to them, man.
But they still look amazing.
I could only wish to look that way when I'm that age. If I make it,
I'm not that age, and I don't look like that now. Like, I'm in my 40s, and they look better than me. You know what I mean? But I'm fat and I don't work out, so there you go.
Well, I'm with you.
Yeah. So Guy Ritchie is to direct Roadhouse 2 with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. I didn't mind that movie. I'm not gonna lie, like it was okay. I don't know if I'd go as far as calling it Roadhouse, but I fucks with it.
I heard it was good though. Like I haven't had a reason to watch it yet.
Yeah, it's not bad. Not too shabby. Joe Hill is to do a Dracula sequel on Shudder. They premiered it this weekend at the Overlook Film Festival in New Orleans.
Oh shit! Okay.
So I'm kind of looking forward to that because you can't ever get enough vampire movies that don't sparkle.
True. I wonder. See, that's kind of interesting. If it's a sequel to Dracula. years ago, I've got a book in there that was written. I can't remember if the author was somebody like a relative, like in the bloodline of Bram Stoker.
Right.
But they wrote a sequel. I can't remember what it was called.
Well, they did the one wasn't like Abraham's King or some shit.
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. I have to look. But so I'm curious about that. But yeah, Joe Hill's doing it. Like,
Yeah, shouldn't be too bad. We'll see
what
what happens.
Yeah.
Also, it's a Shudder film, and I haven't been mad really at anything Shudder put out.
I like really. There's a lot of good Shudder stuff, but like with Shudder,
I haven't been mad at anything they put out.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So I've enjoyed majority of their stuff.
I was gonna say Shudder's either like really good or it sucks. So, and most of the time I like it. So,
right. And then last but not least, Hulu is releasing a series on June 6th, an animated series. It's an anthology film, Predator, Killer of Killers. So they're doing a Predator animated trilogy film.
I'm cool with that.
Yeah, it's based. I was reading about it and it said, I guess people were going to different worlds or whatever, trying to fight and hunt the predators.
All right. I like the idea of there being, like, I wish they'd do some animated stuff for Alien.
Yeah, But the sequel of Prey will be coming out after that, I believe, on Hulu.
Okay, I can dig it.
So we got 2 Predator joints coming out this year, I think.
Hell yeah!
So that should be fun. And then last but not least, we want to wish a happy birthday to Patricia Arquette, turned 57 years old today, and also the great man Jason Voorhees, Kane Hodder, turned 70 years old today. So happy birthday to you and everyone else that I did not mention that has birthdays today. Celebrities aside.
Yeah. You think people have birthdays today?
Huh? There's plenty of birthdays today. I had to text 3 people today and tell them happy birthday. So they share birthdays with Kane Hodder, so good for them.
My birthday's on Friday the 13th, so
that's always a good time.
Oh yeah.
Mine will never be on the Friday the 13th because I don't have a birthday on the 13th. Bummer.
You're correct then.
Indeed. But anyway, time to jump into the main course. The 1981 Fulci classic, The Beyond, had a runtime of 87 minutes. It was released in Europe in 1981, released in the States in 1993 once it got picked up by Aquarius. And then it was, as you mentioned earlier, labeled as The 7 Doors of Death, which had a different score than the original film and also was 7 minutes shorter. There's the mic.
Well, this fucking guy.
Written by Dardano Sacchetti, Giorgio Mariuzzo, Lucio Foley, who also directed the film, with a budget of $400,000 and made $416,652.16 in the box office. Not great, but they made money. The score was done by none other than Fabio Frizzi, who tends to work on majority of Fulci's films, and is also usually in the band on Joe Bob's Last Drive-In. Whenever they do Fulci nights, he always tends to pick him up.
I think it was just that one night, but yeah.
Well, I've seen another Fulci film on there that wasn't on Fulci night, and he was on there as well. I forget. I think it was the cemetery one.
Oh, House with a Cemetery?
I think it was like season 3.
Huh. Okay.
Joe Bob. And then the special effects crew was Germano Natali and Gianto De Rossi, who killed the effects work as always, because as everyone knows, if you're a Fulci fan, lots of crazy eye imagery.
Oh, yeah, always.
Now, this movie basically takes place as a young lady inherits a hotel. She's pretty much a failed clothing designer, I believe.
Yeah.
And then turns out that the hotel she inherits is the gateway to hell. The hotel they used, like most of the film was filmed in Well, the exterior shots were all filmed in New Orleans, Louisiana, and then the interior shots were filmed at DePaulo Studios in Rome.
Yeah.
And they used the historic Otis House in Madisonville, Louisiana for the hotel, which is pretty fun. And it looks like almost the exact same today.
Yeah, it just looks better kept up.
Yeah, I mean, it had a paint job, you know. I mean, obviously in the film, they're painting as well.
Yeah.
I mean, the opening of the film set takes place in Louisiana in 1927. You see the men on the lake rowing towards the hotel, trying to kill a warlock known as Schweck, played by Antoine St. John. And then they capture him, and then they whip him with chains.
Yeah.
Fucking nail spikes through his wrist. Then covering him in liquid lye and watch him melt.
Yeah.
Did you say his name was Shrek?
Schweck.
Schweck. He was
have a lip.
But that opening scene, when I first watched the movie, there was something about it. Like I said, I had not seen anything that was like extreme gore before, really, pretty much. And like, even though it was very obviously fake, you know, but that whole opening scene is just so brutal. And for some reason, if I'm eating while I'm watching the movie, I can't watch that scene. Usually that shit doesn't bother me, but for some reason, that scene, like everything about it is just like the whole movie itself is pretty grimy. But I don't know, that open scene just kind of it makes the viewer realize what they're in for.
Yeah,
pretty
every Fulci film, he just loves the gore.
Oh yeah.
Gore. But I mean, some of his stories kind of bounce around quite frantically, like this one does.
That's
like,
yeah.
There's sometimes where I'm like, I'm trying to make the connection here, but my brain just hurts and I can't do it.
It's a weird the thing about Fulci is his movies, his horror films, don't always make a lick of sense. There's a basic idea usually, and it's like a kid with a crown, and they purposely go outside the lines. Fulci's movies are like that, specifically The Beyond, House by the Cemetery, and City of the Living Dead, which, like I said, you can mash them all together to where it makes a trilogy, and you can even throw zombie in there, you know, which I did suggest, and it did make it on Joe Bob. They did read my email.
I remember you telling us that a couple years back.
Yeah, which they actually, the movie that the episode that movie was on is gone now, so that sucks. But I'm glad I recorded it.
Right.
But yeah, there's a whole jumbled bunch of shit, but there are things that connect. There's the same names of people that are in this movie that are in this movie, or, you know, it's weird, but there is something about them where they do kind of like, each movie kind of reminds you of the last one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like his other movies and shit, like they kind of stand alone on their own 2 feet. But like The Beyond and House by the Cemetery and City of the Living Dead, all three of those, like, you just automatically like, man, they really do have the same feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, Fulci's films, you can always tell when you're watching a Fulci film.
Usually. For a lot of
9
reasons.
times out of 10, you're going to see multiple eye encounters.
Yes.
Like
and
they're in every film he has.
There's of course his most notable one is probably one of the most brutal eye penetrations, is in Zombie with the blister to the eye. That one's, or Splinter. Splinter to the eye.
The blister in the eye.
Yeah, you get a splinter afterward, or you get a blister afterwards. But yeah, that's a brutal scene. It's a very famous scene. And in The Beyond, there's three or four scenes where eyeballs are fucked up. So he made sure to really say, fuck them eyes in this movie.
He definitely put some eyeballs in there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Well, after you see Schweck get whipped and beaten and tortured, they cut to the next scene, which is present day 1981, and you see Martin and Liza, which is Martin is played by Michelle Mirabello, and Liza is played by Catriona McCall, who also got credited as Catherine McCall.
Yeah.
Now they've been in.
She was also, sorry to cut you off. She also was one of the only women to ever, or actors to stand up to Fulci, because Fulci wasn't the nicest guy to work with. Apparently, no. He was very mean. He was not very nice to a lot of people, and she stood up to him and said she wasn't going to take his fucking shit no more, and that's why he kind of got really fond of her. He had a big old thing for her.
Yeah, he was. Seemed like he was not a fan of women.
There's some debate there.
I mean, to work with.
Right? Yeah.
So you meet Martin and Liza, and they're walking around talking about how she inherited this hotel, and they're trying to figure out what they want to do at the hotel and just get some of the plans. And then they walk over to the hotel, and there's a couple painters painting because the house just the hotels just ran down. And then the one painter looks into a window, sees a little girl with the glazed over marble eyes, and then just falls off the scaffolding and hits the ground rather hard and just starts coughing up blood and bleeding everywhere, which is funny because the guy on the scaffolding is actually part of Louisiana's film commission. And he just wanted to be in the movie somewhere. So,
well, it's a really funny scene.
It is.
It's not supposed to be, but it is.
Yeah,
like it's pretty goofy. That's the other thing though, is like a lot of Fulci's movies are goofy in ways, but as long as you go in knowing that, like, it doesn't matter. Right.
Yeah. Well, then you go inside the house, and they're Liza's frantically yelling for a doctor whenever you meet Arthur by Gianpaolo Saccarola, and then Dr. John McCabe walks in, who is David Warbeck, which is also one of Fulci's good friends from the Black Cat movie. They met on that film, and then they just kind of hit it off. So they were old friends. And then Liza's just waiting for the plumber because they want water, but she can't give him any water because her basement is flooded and the pipes aren't working. So they were waiting on good old Joe the plumber to show up. And he was played by Giovanni De Nava. And he comes in and goes down in the basement, looks for the pipes, finds where it's leaking out from behind the brick wall, starts chipping out some brick, gets behind the wall, sees another wall with a little hole in it, goes to peek in the hole. Fucking zombie hand. First eye penetration we get in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. So then, like, you just see his fucking face get smushed and his eyeball come popping out. And then he dies that quick.
Yeah.
So fucking crazy, because as soon as you see it, I mean, the very first thing you see, aside from Schweck getting chained and beaten and tortured, is the eyeball detraction from good old plumber Joe.
Joe the plumber.
Poor guy. Poor guy.
You also forgot that there was a Martha, the housekeeper or whatever. The maid.
Veronica Layer.
They run into her right before he finds the hole in the wall and all that shit. And like there's a weird, see, that's something else that Fulci is horrible about, is especially the movies in the trilogy, is like there's unexplained things there. Like Martha and Joe clearly know each other, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
Right? But they kind of allude like to the fact that they have something going on or something. Like, I don't know, like it's kind of a weird, kind of the way they act towards each other. It's just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a weird thing. And I mean,
you can tell they know each other because later in the film they say that she was talking about like Martha and Anthony and all them being in the house. Yeah. And they were like, well, just you hired them, so fire them. And she's like, no, they kind of came with the house.
Yeah, right.
And then they're the ones that actually like recommended Joe. So you can tell, I guess they had a long relationship since the hotel's been there.
Yeah,
well, he's a local.
True. Yeah.
Like even the guy later on says, you know, he knows like everybody in the town, you know. Right. Because whenever she's talking about the girl, he's like, "What girl?" You know, oh, in the house. Yeah. Our house has been abandoned for 50 years.
Yeah.
John McCabe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get a little backstory of how maybe some people know each other. But I just think it's funny how, like, right after that, like, the next scene, Liza's just driving on the, what the hell is that, like, the Lake Pontchartrain fucking causeway or whatever the fuck it's called in Louisiana. It's like a 24-mile long bridge.
It's a very long bridge.
Yeah. And then Emily's just standing in the middle of the fucking bridge with her dog, Dickie. And then Liza slams on the brakes, and then she gets out of the car, and she's like, "Are you lost?" And she's like, "Oh, you're Liza Merrill, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, like, who the fuck are you?"
Yeah. How do you know me? Yeah. What are you doing on the road, lady?
Like, apparently you don't know where you're going because you're standing in the middle of the fucking bridge.
Yeah.
And who knows how far into the bridge she was. She could have walked 15 miles for all we know. Like,
yeah. True.
It's just a long-ass fucking bridge. I always thought that scene was just weird. But that was a pretty-ass German Shepherd.
Oh, yeah. Also, was a really good shot, though. And apparently nobody films on that much because of reasons, I guess. But
the Pontchartrain Causeway. I think that's what it's called. Something like that.
Yeah.
But then shortly after that, you go to the morgue where they show Joe's body getting zipped back up after an autopsy, which is the worst stitching job I've ever seen in my life. He still has
that's what I was thinking.
He still has like an inch gap between his chest. But then that's whenever you see Mary Ann and Jill for the first time. Like, Mary Ann's in there. I'm assuming that's Joe's wife.
Yeah.
Or something. She brings his crucifix and stuff and puts him in a suit and everything, getting him all dressed up for the funeral. And then you see her turn around and scream at nothing.
I was going to say, she gets him in that suit pretty easily.
Right, and they don't even change the bloody ass fucking sheet on the table.
No. I was like, how'd she get this corpse dressed up so quick and easy?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know.
Yeah, Mary Ann's played by Laura DiMarchi, and Jill was played by Maria Pia Mariala.
You think that's her kid?
I don't know. I doubt it.
I was like, why is she a redhead? And I don't think either of them had red hair.
Like, no, they both had brown, like, dark hair.
Yeah, it didn't look like her at all.
Yeah. But it's just funny because you see Mary Ann scream, and she screams at nothing. And then fucking Jill runs in, and she's just like, Mary Ann's laying there on the ground, and then Jill's just standing there staring at her. And then next thing you see, like, the fucking big ass jar of sulfuric acid just falls over and starts pouring on her face, fucking melting her face away.
But she's just standing there. Like, I never understood that. Yeah.
Me either. Like, why didn't she do anything? Why didn't nobody else come? Which is also like in every fucking movie you see, you go into a hospital and the fucking place is empty. Every time.
She was frozen with fear, man. All right, she didn't know what to do. There's dead bodies everywhere. Fucking, she couldn't. She was just total shock. And now her mom's laying there, freaking getting melted.
Yeah, you can say that, but I don't know. I feel like a kid would be like, "Mommy," and like would run over and be like trying to do something to stop from that happening. Very long scene too.
But I mean, I guess if she ran over there and didn't know what was going on, she could have easily grabbed that shit and got it all over herself, and then that shit ate away on her somewhere. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, but she was a kid; she wouldn't fucking realize that.
But the part that, like, you just see all this fucking, like, red goop, like, coming towards her on the floor, and she just keeps backing up into a corner.
Like a melted icy.
You figure somebody else would have heard them screaming, you know what I mean?
It's like the Blob.
Yeah.
But, like, you never see how she gets out of the room or who comes in to save her.
No.
It's like, all right, that happened.
It kind of alludes to the fact that, like, you know, which, I mean, because I mean, she gets clearly attacked by something.
By something.
And then like at the funeral or whatever, you know, of course, like her eyes change when, you know, when she looks in the camera and all that shit. But
because good.
No, I was gonna say it's like well, what did she see? How did whatever
the guy.
Nobody saw.
That's what I was gonna say. I think every time they because they did that a couple times, where you just turn around and you don't see what they're freaking out about, so you just have to assume it's Schweck.
Right.
He pops up quite a few times in the film. Like whenever
it was the guy.
Joe. Whenever Martha finds Joe, though, you see the body come floating up out of this fucking crypt or tomb or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it has the nail holes in his forearms. So you just assume that it's Schweck.
Oh, it is. Yeah. I mean, it is him.
Yeah.
That's the fucking guy in the meat freezer.
Which guy in the meat freezer?
The Jill sees.
Oh, yeah. The guy with no eyeball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's part of the spirit or whatever kind of darkness from hell that's possessing these people. So as soon as she's trying to escape from that blob shit, she opens that thing and then the body falls out and she's like, ah! And it just cuts away.
Right.
But I guess once you see her at the cemetery and you see her eyes, then you realize, oh, she's been touched by this evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then somewhere, I guess throughout the film, Liza still continues to visit Emily once they first met on the bridge. And then Liza's talking to Emily and she's talking to her about stuff that happened in room 36 and how
not 37.
Not 37. And then they talk about how evil the room is. And then as that's going on, Emily is touching a painting and then just starts screaming and her hands have blood droplets on them, which I kind of found weird. And then she runs out of the room. And then Liza goes and explores room 36. And then as soon as she walks in and goes into the back room, she sees, I guess, Schweck nailed to the wall. And then she freaks out and runs outside. And then she runs into John, who's there looking for her. And then he kind of asks her what's going on. And then she goes and shows him and there's nothing there but some nails on a wall. And then he's like, I don't know what's going on with you. There's nothing here. There's some rust on here. It's not blood. So it makes you wonder if she's just going fucking bonkers or not.
Yeah.
No body, no book,
no crime,
no trace,
no crime,
no woman, no crime, man.
No shoes, no sirs.
Now, after all that happens, and then
after
you go, they go into the library. I think it's who goes into the library? Is it Anthony? Does he go into the library?
The architect?
Yeah, I think that's who it was, Anthony.
Yeah, you talking about the spider thing?
Yeah, well, he goes in and then he talks to the librarian and he goes out to lunch, which I found out the librarian, he looks familiar, and then apparently that's Lucio Fulci.
That's Lucio Fulci, yeah.
Without
a beard, without his usual beard that we all know.
So he just tells Anthony that he's going to go to lunch, so just go upstairs and get a fucking book or whatever. And Anthony's played by Larry Ray. But then he goes up to the room to get the book, walks in, he starts climbing the fucking little library book rack or ladder thing, and then fucking falls backwards. And we get one of the most famous scenes in the film with the spiders. He falls back, and then he looks to the left and sees 8 tarantulas walking towards him, which I think only one of them were real. And they were the worst looking fucking spiders ever.
Yeah.
That scene's pretty dope, and it is definitely a legendary scene. It's one of the most talked about, memorable scenes in most of Fulci cinema.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it has to do with that a lot of the spiders and shit look so fake.
Well, it was there were some real spiders.
I think I counted 2 or 3.
There's 3 or 4. But yeah, pretty ridiculous. So the fake ones look like they were probably being puppeteered.
Yeah.
But man, what a brutal scene though. I have never seen tarantulas be so angry at one.
Yeah, and they're taking out chunks of skin, not just little bite marks. They're just fucking tearing skin off.
And it's going back and forth between his actually being him and the dummy, and it's just taking off chunks of like his lips and tearing into his nostrils and all this shit. And it's God, there's some aggressive spiders. God damn,
they are very aggressive spiders.
But if you're an arachnophobe, that scene can make your skin crawl.
Dave's in arachnophobe. Dave actually watched this the other night and he texted me and he's like, "There's fucking spiders."
That's funny.
I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot about that."
Yeah. Classic scene.
That shit was pretty funny though, but that scene went on way too fucking long.
It's a long one.
Way too long, man. Like it could have been wrapped up with the quickness.
It could have been, but then it wouldn't be as famous as it is, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, they show that one tarantula fucking bite his tongue and then like pulls out like he'll never his like head tilts to the side, just all this fucking pus and shit comes running out of his mouth. Yeah, very graphic scene. Like it's pretty sick, but it's like I said, like I love old practical effects. They look kind of cheesy now, but you still got to have mad respect for the shit that he put, like the effects team put into that.
Oh yeah. Like 100%.
Like they were so fucking good.
But that scene goes on for oh yeah. That scene goes on for like 5 or 6 solid minutes.
Yeah, like it's a long one.
It's a bit much. They could have taken it down just a tad.
But then as that's going on, Martha is upstairs running around doing shit in the hotel. She goes into room 36 and then she sees like a bathtub full of like just seedy water, and fucking Joe comes popping out of it, and then he grabs her by the face, and you see those big ass nails stuck in the wall, so you know someone's losing an eyeball.
Joe who?
Yeah,
Joe the plumber.
Joe Mama. Ow!
Hey.
Somehow I knew that was coming. That's what
1993.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that scene's actually gag worthy because of when there's a fear. I don't know what it's called, but there's a fear of like putting your hand into the unknown. You know what I mean? Like bathtub full of darkness.
Because it's a dick in a box.
Well, it applies. But like, you know, you got all this mucky, nasty black water. You don't know what's in it or whatever. And she puts her hand in there and then pulls out this nasty clob of hair, which makes me want to fucking puke. And then I'm just like, I couldn't do that because I don't know what else is in that fucking tub. It's terrifying. It's a very terrifying and disgusting scene.
She didn't seem too concerned about it. She's pretty fucking gangster, man. Because like
she's in there.
Even earlier. In the early scene, wherever she goes down in the basement looking for Joe, and then she finds him and Shrek, fucking like she's just like, oh, okay, like she's not like screaming and running off into the night or anything. No. She's just like, oh, all right, there's some dead bodies we got to take down to the morgue.
Real quick for anybody watching, they're not fucking. Mike just cut off his own sentence.
Yeah.
Huh?
Your wording, they're like Joe and Schweck down there fucking, and he didn't finish it. So it was like they're not.
I mean, they could have been. You don't know what they were doing.
That would have been a totally different movie.
It would have been.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes footage.
Oh, gross.
Turn into that. What was that fucking Necro whatever movie? Necromantic.
Oh, yeah.
The German film.
Oh, it's got one of the craziest conclusions to a film I've ever seen.
But it's cool. I like talking about Martha in the bathroom there. I like there's a shot I like whenever Joe has his hand on her face and it's like you see his arm up against her face, but it's focused on his face, and you can just feel her like going back, and you know the nails there. I just like that shot for whatever reason, and then it's like boom, and then the eye pops out. Very cool.
It gives the viewer kind of a like, because it does like when it comes to the eyes and shit like that, like it kind of gives the viewer a POV kind of shiver of wow, that's, you know, I'll explain that right. I don't fucking know. They did that in the spider scene too, but it was really badly executed because it didn't make any lick of sense. Because when the dude's laying there with all the spiders crawling all over him, you see these. It's very clearly supposed to be his vision, right? Which if it was his vision, that would mean his eyes are this big and those spiders are that big.
But is the spider on top of like a glass case or something like that.
Yeah, like it's like
Weird shot.
It's like on
Could have done
plexiglass.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
we love the POVs, but that's a bit much. Because if that was the case, he'd be like a fucking alien. He'd have these two big giant eyes. He'd be like, ah.
Yeah.
And then it's even like more of a different movie then.
What's funny is
there's definitely some good shots, and there's definitely a lot of bad shots. I remember at the like in the very beginning of the film, whenever that lynch mob is coming for Shrek, and the camera is like ultra shaky, like
Oh yeah.
like it was not steady whatsoever, and I'm like, man, this is terrible.
Yeah, I think there's definitely like more shots that are good, but there are like, but that was one that like it cracked me up when I was watching it last night because it's just I kept thinking of old dude from American Dad,
Yeah,
the alien guy. I was like, dude, his fucking head would have to be like that big, and his eyes would be that big, and the spiders would be like it just I don't know. It's just like come on, that's a bit much.
you would think you could just take like the plexiglass and then like put some kind of cutout around it, like in a circular pattern, so it looks like you're looking through an eye. I guess. I mean, there was another way you could do it for sure, but
Yeah,
for whatever reason, they decided not to.
yeah, because like, it was just I don't know, bad decision making. Because if they wanted to, it would have made more sense if the spider was like more close up like that.
Right.
But then they had the whole fucking spider's body, and it's just like it just didn't make any goddamn sense. But yeah. But anyway,
You live and you learn. All right.
you do. Here goes Chad, man.
Yeah, man. No,
Welcome
but then
back, Tyler.
thanks. No, but then you go. John's, I guess, knows something's going on, so then he's kind of like checking some shit out, and then he goes and checks out the corpse. I notices the fucking puncture wounds in the arms, and then it has that the sign of the Book of Ibon, which is actually a symbol that Fulci's daughter had tattooed on her, so that's why he used it. I couldn't figure out what the fuck it meant.
That's funny.
It's got to be some kind of like old ancient, like I guess Italian type maybe symbol or something. I don't know. It's still a mystery.
And
Sam Hain. No.
No.
Shit.
Saw one anyway. That is the
Nothing-
weird. You know, that is the weirdest fucking word. Like, have you ever seen a word that doesn't look how it sounds? It's that one.
Which one?
Saw one, but spelled Sam Hain.
Oh.
Sam Hain.
Yeah.
Unholy passion.
Yeah. Same thing. But
Gotta love fucking Danzig. Now, one of my favorite scenes though is after. So they go back to Emily, who's in her house sitting in the corner with her dog, or actually she's on the couch, and then her dog barks and she's like, "Good boy," and then she can just feel a presence of something. So then she's like asking who's there and everything, and then like you see Shrek and all the other zombies that were from the morgue kind of in her house standing around, and then the dog just like starts barking, and then she kind of falls back into a corner and she's like, "Attack, Dickie, attack." And then you hear him growling and chewing and biting on something. Then you just hear like silence. And then he comes back over to her and he's covered in blood and shit. And then she's like, "Good boy." And then all of a sudden he just starts fucking eating her throat.
Yeah. I love that.
That scene is fucking great.
well, because it actually like you don't even realize it's going to happen. There's no sign. It's like, oh, okay,
No, you think it's over.
yeah.
Yeah. He's saved her from the whatever imminent danger. And that's the thing. Like she's like talking to Shrek. She's like, "Oh, you're not taking me back. I don't want to go back," and all this. So I guess we're to assume that she was in the beyond and made it out,
That's kind of
or what?
It's a whole lot of
Yeah.
people.
And they were trying to take her
Kinda
back.
like in Hellraiser, you know.
Yeah, apparently, if you
running
have
from
the
something back.
glassy marble eyes, you were fucked.
Yeah. You've seen it. You've seen
It's
the
like she went
Beyond.
into, like Chuck said, like in Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
It's like, oh fuck, we got this fucking soul sucking machine fucking thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Like you said, it comes out of nowhere because you're like, okay, the dog just saved her, cool, and then it's like, nope, he turns on her. You just see him dig into her and just start eating her.
But like, I wonder
It's
if
like,
like
oh,
it
shit.
got kind of possessed or whatever because it ate the other demon or whatever the fuck you want to call him,
'Cause
or
it ate into
maybe
him.
it
Yeah.
got bit
Maybe.
during the fighting scene that we didn't see. Like, you never understand like that's what I mean. Like the Fulci films, I think he just writes the scenes he wants to see, and then he just kind of throws some shit around the outside.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, because he also left it to.
It's funny.
I think, like, okay, with movies and sometimes books and stuff, you know, there's okay, especially with movies, sometimes it's okay to like just show just enough
Right.
to get the idea, whatever. With Fulci, he's like, hey, we're gonna play Pictionary now, and you're gonna figure out what the fuck is going on in this scene. So like, you kind of draw your own conclusions, and like for me, I would say that's probably what, you know, it was saying, like the dog was possessed after it's you know attacked.
That seems pretty fucking gnarly though, because you see him just like bite the throat, then out of nowhere he just bites her ear off.
Yeah. Eliza.
And that scene reminded me of the scene from Zombie where the zombie fights the shark. Because you got the zombie and the dog down on the ground. You could tell it's a stuntman, and he just probably got like some kind of thing on his arm or whatever. Because the dog's on top of him and like biting into the arm, and it's not like tearing anything apart. They're just like, okay, I'm a stuntman, and I'm letting this dog kind of attack me, and that's that. It's not like the dog's ripping him apart or anything. It's just he's just going for the arm or whatever.
Yeah.
So. It's just funny. I don't know why zombies have to fight animals in all Fulci's films, but
the zombie
that's a
zombie
requirement
versus shark and zombie is a classic.
That's next level.
Especially all
they
they
see the
went
dog
through.
get hurt.
Huh?
At least you didn't see the dog get hurt in this. He survives.
Right.
Yeah.
You never know.
Or does
He's
he?
still out there running around in the Beyond.
He's in the.
Well, if you remember in Suspiria from Dario Argento, there was a whole scene that involved a blind guy and his dog, or a guy that had a dog.
I haven't seen that movie in 20-some years.
Yeah, I don't know. Was he blind? He had a dog or whatever that was like whatever, and it turned on him. I wonder if Fulci, if it was one of those kind of things.
Cujo.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you see Liza. She's down in like the basement of the hotel looking for Arthur, and then next thing you know, she finds him, and then he's trying to like fucking pull her down in the water, like scratching at her ankles and shit, and she fucking runs up the steps, fucking screaming and shit, and then she runs into John, and he's like, "What the fuck's going on?" And then they start talking, and he's like, "Who are you, Liza?" He's like, "According to the book of Abon, this hotel is the gates of the 7 gates of hell." And then that's whenever they realize this fucking place is no bueno.
Yeah, there was a lot of I've seen comments about this movie, and some people trying to explain to other people what the Beyond is. It's kind of funny, and one person said that it just sounds like a cheap ripoff of The Shining.
Yeah, I've heard mention of that.
Yeah, that's weird. Like,
all because it had to do with a certain room or whatever. Like that's where all the majority of the bad entity was coming from. But then at the same time, I heard apparently people were asking if he was ripping off The Shining, and the movie just came out like the year before, and they had no idea what the movie was about, and they never heard of it, as they say. So it's
I didn't get that feeling. There might be a couple of small similarities, but I think
Yeah.
the
Right. I
dress
mean,
was
it's
broken.
definitely like it's all over the place online about how they're trying to say that he was ripping off The Shining.
Whatever.
Which I don't buy it either.
I don't. That's just stupid. There's a lot of movies that go to hotels.
Well, I guess. Okay, so what their argument is the room for one, and then I guess whenever Jill is in there and the red stuff is coming towards her, I guess you could compare that to the blood out of the elevator
That's grasping.
coming down the hall,
That's grasping,
sort of.
But yeah.
That's a stretch.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So basically, everybody who thinks that, fuck off. It's stupid. It's stupid.
There
It's
you go.
dumb. Yep.
The Clarks avoid in.
Reevaluate your life now.
Whoa.
No, this is where this movie kind of loses me. So like what? So Liza and John go to the hospital to try to find Dr. Harris to find answers because Dr. John McCabe doesn't like. He likes to know the facts. Like he doesn't believe in shit. Just the facts.
Just the facts, man.
So then they go to the hospital, and again, totally empty hospital.
Totally empty town.
True that.
We're driving to the hospital and
Right.
they're like, oh,
Yeah.
not a soul in sight. Turns into fucking like in the mouth of madness.
But it's just funny because like as soon as he gets to the hospital, like they're looking for Dr. Harris, he goes into his office and then immediately goes for the desk drawer and pulls out a fucking gun. I'm like, why a doctor keeps a gun in his desk at a hospital is beyond me. But
Oh.
they definitely needed it. But then as soon as he gets the gun out, fucking all these zombies or whatever appear from nowhere and fucking bust through this glass and then fucking try to grab Liza. And then he just starts shooting. And then he finally shoots one in the head because the whole time I'm sitting here fucking yelling at this dude. I'm like, aim for the head, asshole. Like, I know this ain't your first zombie routine. Like, so then he finally gets one in the head and then it dies. But then he's not smart enough to realize, okay, well, that worked. So let me just keep popping these fuckers in the chest.
That's the thing that drove me crazy throughout this whole third act because he realizes once he hits them in the head, they go down.
You would think.
But he doesn't. No. He doesn't continue
I think
that,
he just shoot him in the leg
line
now.
of thinking at all. Yeah. Well, either that or he's a fucking terrible shot.
I mean, aim
for the head. I was,
and which I was surprised because whenever they bust through that glass and they're pulling Liza back, like she's like right there. Like he had to be like a pretty good shot to just like miss grazing her face or anything like that because that zombie is like right behind her, almost like lined up.
Well, then so she runs off or whatever, and he's in there and he's still running around looking for Harris. And then fucking
oh, real quick. There is a similarity that I noticed, and I wonder if Reanimator might have taken it from that. There's a lot of similarities to that scene and the near the end of Reanimator when all the dead are coming back and they're having to run through the hospital and all that shit. Very similar in a lot of ways.
I don't know. I feel like any kind of hospital type scene, you could probably go back to this and think it's a callback or something. I mean, with that, it might be because horror genres tend to follow certain paths and then they have their own influences and shit. So
yeah,
they could have had some Fulci influence on it. But my thing is like the fact that like all these shots look so bad. It looks like this motherfucker shooting paintballs out of a pistol.
Oh yeah.
Which is a 6-shooter, but somehow he's popping off like 10 racks at a time.
Yeah, he runs out of bullets at one point, and all of a sudden he's reloaded. You don't see him reload or anything.
And then
it's like, all right.
He finds Harris, and Harris is behind a fucking like a little gown thing or whatever that you hide behind, and he just starts fucking cutting through it with a goddamn cleaver. And then they have like a little face-off or whatever. And then McCabe smacks the fucking knife out of his hand, and he's like, what the fuck's going on? He's like, I don't know. And then some more zombies break into this fucking door. He's like, they're coming in. So then for some reason, McCabe shoots a fucking window out, and all this fucking glass goes flying into Harris's face.
Yeah.
So, and I'm like, where the fuck
and that
did
looks
come from?
Like the fakest shit
that
ever.
Face that they made for him looked terrible.
Yeah.
Like, Like there's no way around that shit. Like
I still appreciate it, but yeah, you're right.
Right. But it's just fucking, that shit cracks me up because like, how are you gonna shoot a window and then all the fucking glass, because you're shooting out, all the glass flies inwards and then stabs homeboy in the face. Just fucking weird. Like they could have had a better way for him to die. He could have got 8 instead of just getting some shards of glass in his face. That's all I'm saying.
Well, that's what happens when you're in the beyond.
You know, shards of glass in the face is it's pretty brutal. But so I understand the thought.
But like it's the same thing with the scene with the spiders. There's not like any, like these guys are dying and there's no like screaming or anything like that. It's just like dead. like the spider guy is just laying there. I think there's at one point you see his eyes move around. He's like, but like he's not like screaming as they're like tearing him apart, or Harris isn't screaming as the freaking shards of glass are going into his skull.
The guy in the library though, like he fell on his back pretty hard, so you could almost say that like he just had the wind knocked at him, so he couldn't even say anything. But like you're definitely right. It's almost like in some of these movies, it's like, oh, you're gonna die now. Your body freezes. It's just so weird.
But I mean that's fine. But I don't know. I don't like that. We talked about this in what's that shitty film? Where the guy is walking through the in A Violent Nature. Whenever he's cutting that guy up, and he's almost dead, but he can't react. He's like, okay, I'm going through this wood chipper or whatever, and there's no screaming, there's no nothing. It's like totally silent. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'm gonna die. I don't know. I want the screaming. You know, that's the whole.
To where he couldn't move, but I definitely I agree. I'm just saying.
I want the horror. I want the terror. I want to hear screaming and death.
But before McCabe finds Harris, though, he fucking sends Liza off, and she gets like pulled into the elevator, which is just weird. Because then somehow she just ends up in the autopsy room where she finds Jill, who's there for whatever reason. I don't know. Like, who also, I forgot to mention, she also has the marble glassy eyes because at her parents, I guess they were her parents, Joe and Marianne,
at the funeral,
at the funeral,
No, we talked about that.
Like she gets the glazed over eyes. What's that cemetery called? I know we were there, right? Isn't that where Marie Laveau was buried?
Well, there's several different ones there, so I don't know if that was the same one or not. You know, that's one of the cool things about New Orleans is the cemeteries. If you go down to New Orleans, you know, definitely check out their cemeteries because, you know, it's just that you've never seen anything like it. It's not like any other place in the United States. So it's very cool. And your buddy Nick Cage has his grave down in there. One of the
he's a zombie
cemeteries.
The pyramid thing. Yeah.
The pyramid. Yeah.
Nick Cage is a zombie.
Maybe
he could be.
It's the next Cage film. Be fucking great. But I mean, I don't understand why Jill's even in this fucking hotel, in the hospital, let alone being in the fucking autopsy room with all these people. I mean, I guess she's blind now, like, but what the fuck? Did she just wander out of nowhere? She should be in like an orphanage. Like, you figured she'd be with fucking CPS or something.
Well, like at the fucking funeral, like everybody just kind of walks off from her, and then like, like, oh, we're so sorry. We're so sorry. And then gone.
Go fuck yourself. We're leaving.
There's like nobody there. There's like
even the minister is like, oh, this poor defenseless girl has to fend for herself, and they just like leave her there. Like, all right, good luck.
We didn't say we were going to help her. We just said we were feel bad for her.
Yeah. Then it's funny because then like Liza goes and gets Joe or John. And then they run back into the autopsy room. And then another zombie comes in. John shoots him in the chest 3 or 4 times for whatever the fucking reason. And then you see,
Chuck, are you beating? Is Chuck beating off right now? Oh, okay. Continue.
Anyway, so he shoots that zombie in the chest like 3 or 4 times or whatever. And then fucking Jill grabs Liza by the face, and he just turns around and blows this chick's head off. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, no questions.
Fuck this bitch.
I'm like, whoa.
he's like done with. He's done with everything at this point. He's like,
Yeah,
fuck
like,
all y'all.
I'm sitting there screaming the whole time, like,
And that's
shoot everybody in the fucking head. And then the one girl that's semi like normal and doesn't seem possessed, he just fucking turns around. He's like, "Fuck you, blam!" And then her fucking head just peels back.
The whole half her head just goes flying. That's a pretty cool shot.
But that I don't know. John pissed me off in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm
Agreed.
like, what are you gonna fucking learn, my guy? Like, this is dumb shit.
You ain't gonna learn.
So then him and Liza run down these fucking those little cylinder, like the circular fucking steps or whatever, and then they get down, and then they're standing the spiral staircase, and then they get down there, and they're like, how the fuck are we in the basement at the hotel? So it's like, what the fuck do we do here? And then at that point, I'd be freaking the fuck out and would go back up those fucking steps because I'm like, I don't want to be in here.
But then you got the zombies at the top.
I mean, if he would learn to shoot these fucks in the head, he'd be trapped. I mean, depending on how much ammo he's got left, because he's already reloaded 3 times that you do. I mean, you see the one time where he tries to reload, and you see him taking the fucking bullets and trying to shove them in the tip of the pistol where the barrel is. And apparently he did that just to fuck with Fulci, but Fulci didn't catch it, so he just kept it in there.
That's hilarious. Oh, I'm sure Fulci was very particular about things.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't fucking get it. Like, I was like, okay, you're definitely not gonna put any more ammunition in this fucking weapon by trying to shove them down the fucking barrel.
Well, and if and we didn't talk about it, but at the beginning of it, old dude's painting, and what he's painting is what we're walking into.
Yeah.
Is the beyond,
which you're about to see towards the end of the film, as they're running through the fucking basement or whatever at the hotel, and they happen to see this fucking hole in the side of the wall with all this fucking smoke pouring out of it. So,
and a bright light.
Where should you probably put your head in? Oh, let's go into this fucking room with the smoky hole. That sounds weird.
The old smoky hole.
I ain't put my head in nothing that's fucking smoking.
Right. So that they go into the smoky hole, and they just walk into like this big open area full of fog and dead bodies lying everywhere.
And then they try to turn back, and it's all gone.
Yeah. And then they start running forward, and then their eyes turn to the glassy marble.
It's a very Twilight Zone ending. I always like the ending to that.
It's fucking weird because, for one, I wouldn't fucking ever go into a room like that. Like, if I'm getting chased by fucking monsters or whatnot, then I see a fucking creepy ass hole, I'm like, yeah, I'm probably just going to keep trying to go straight if I can. I can't see me trying to go in there. I've seen too many horror movies.
Yeah. Like the Beyond.
Yeah. So then, like, after that, then, like, you get the freeze frame of them with their glassy eyes. And then you just hear a random narration throughout the movie. Always saying the same thing. And you will face the sea of darkness and all therein that may be explored. Go fucking figure.
It'd be funny if that actually was the ending to that.
Great.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Anyway,
so this was your pick, Chuck. So what do you got about this movie that makes it one of your favorite Fulci films?
Well, I've going back to the trilogy again and stuff. I've always been a fan of House of the Cemetery. I've got a City of the Living Dead poster over here. Zombie was the first one I saw. Or whatever. I just like his style. I like the effects. I like the blood. I like the gore. City of the Living Dead has some pretty good gory spots in it, actually. But with this one just seems like it seems a little more solid. Even though there's questions that we still ask at the end of it, they're not really that important by the end of it. The story itself is pretty consistent. It's not too out there. As for House of the Cemetery and City of the Living Dead, as much as I love those movies, they're fucking messes in a lot of ways. There's a whole list of questions that we have at the end of those movies. In this one, everything seems pretty consistent, and it's a really good haunted house movie with some interesting fucked up twists and turns. And it always, ever since like I said, when I got it, it was Seven Doors of Death, and it was a favorite of mine for years and years and years. And I don't know what happened to that copy of that disc. And then, I had a buddy who was like, "Man, you're seeing The Beyond by Lucio Fulci," and I was like, "Yeah, I don't think so." And then started watching. I was like, "Oh, okay, this makes sense." But yeah, it's a favorite. I love the gore in it. I think that it's a pretty good story, and I like movies that give me kind of a gross feeling when I watch it, and this one kind of has that kind of grimy feeling that I like. So
I do kind of like it just because it doesn't really tell you what the Beyond is, but it kind of you can kind of interpret your own conclusion, as to what you think it is and what's going on. Like, I'm assuming I know there was a lot of talk saying that they're just living in purgatory.
Yeah. Which I mean, it makes sense.
Right.
But
then they say once you have the glass eyes too or whatever, I guess you can see hell. So at the very end before they do the freeze frame, you could look at John's face and he looks fucking kind of panicky.
Yeah.
Like he's seeing some crazy shit.
Yeah.
So I just want to know what the fuck they're seeing.
Hell. Yep.
Truth.
The truest form of religion.
And then I like how they kind of take the Dawn of the Dead thing and switch it up a little bit whenever he's like, when the gates of hell are closed, the dead will walk the earth.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, makes sense though. I mean, because Fulci, when he started doing, because Fulci was mainly known for doing spaghetti westerns and shit before he started doing horror. When he did, when Dawn of the Dead was getting real popular and shit like that,
right?
Fulci wanted to do something like that, and he made Zombie, which you can actually connect Zombie as the reason of the actual kind of how the zombies made it over to America. So you can connect those in ways, and yeah, he totally. I don't want to say ripped off, but kind of Romero's idea. He took Romero's idea and he ran with it. He's like, all right, I'm going to do this. And it was kind of perfect,
Yeah.
But what was the question? No.
Was there a question?
Was it?
There wasn't. It was just me rambling. Gotcha. No, I do. I love this movie, and it's I think it's one of his better ones. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. His spaghetti westerns, all that shit. Yeah. So as he had kind of gone on and started realizing that horror movies were kind of his thing. I think there was a few movies that had little nods to Romero in there and stuff.
Right.
I actually asked Romero's son Cameron, who I'm kind of friends with. I asked him a while back when we first met about how his dad felt about Fulci, and he was actually fine with Fulci, and he actually understood some of the reasoning of why he did it. He thought it was smart. At first, he wasn't too thrilled about it, but as time went on,
That's the formula. That's, I think Fulci realized it's okay, you don't have to come up with an elaborate story. You can have this very loose story and just focus on the kills. Mm-hmm. And, it still rings true today, with Terrifier. It started out, it wasn't about having some great story or anything like that. It's hey, we're going to do some awesome kill scenes and have fun with this. So, yeah. I think that was what Lucio Fulci was kind of looking at. It's okay, if we can do this and make money off it, then great. And the way I take this film, I always saw it as once Joe goes down in the basement and opens that brick wall, I always felt like that opened the gate of hell, and from there on out, because there's so much stuff that doesn't make sense. I feel like they're already in hell. Like that town was cursed and everything just got sucked into hell. So everything they were seeing and everything that was going on was, either kind of like I said, in the mouth of madness, where, you don't really know what reality is anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the way I always interpret it. And I love the idea of the 7 gates of hell. That's a myth in different parts of the country. I know up in Pelham Township, Pennsylvania, there's a place they call the 7 gates, one of the 7 gates. There's another one out in Collinsville, Illinois. Those are urban legends. People are like, oh, you go here and you could, whatever the process is, you can end up in hell or whatever. Just urban legends, and that all stems from, I feel like, Dante's Inferno, with the 7 circles of hell. All those things go hand in hand, and then obviously it the book of Ibon goes back to Lovecraft and Smith, who created it. So there is a whole history there that we can go deeper into if we wanted to, but it's all these different things kind of mashed together to put this film together. So
yeah,
if people don't know what the book of Ibon is, it's basically like a book of witchcraft, like the Necronomicon, like raising the dead spells, shit like that.
Clark Ashton Smith,
just a dark ass fucking book.
Yeah. One of Phil Anselmo from Pantera and Scour and Superjoint Down and all those bands. One of his older bands was actually one of his older projects was actually called Ibon.
Okay.
Yeah. So, which actually is kind of cool. On the speaking of Phil, on I've got it's a double feature, 2 discs. It's the Beyond and House by the Cemetery, and one of the special features on the Beyond is I think it's on the Beyond side, is actually a music video by Necrophagia, which was a band that Phil was a part of at one point.
Okay.
He just played guitar in it, but yeah. Just a little wrap around there.
Yeah. So, and not only that history, the history of New Orleans as well. If you look at Zombie, I know there's different theories about how on this island, how these zombies came to be and everything like that. And there was rumors that it had to do with like voodoo and everything like that, and that ties deeply into the history of New Orleans. It's such it's such a haunted place, so you can see those inspirations coming out into the film as well. It's like obviously Fulci knew of the history not only of the city, but the history that goes along with all these other things we spoke about.
Yeah, the witchcraft, the voodoo, the black magic.
Yeah. What's really crazy though is his movies didn't get a lot of love when they came out.
Sure.
One of the last conventions that he did, because he didn't do conventions much, whatever, right? I can't remember what year it was, but he was flabbergasted. Fulci went and did a special appearance at some showing of his movies or whatever, and he had no idea how fucking popular he honestly was. Yeah. He had no idea that his movies had this. He was kind of flabbergasted by it. He was like, why would anybody watch my movies now? Why would it be, And right. It's kind of it's a shame.
It's kind of like Carpenter.
Yeah, but Carpenter was a little nicer to deal with.
Oh yeah, but I just knew the fact that like his movies didn't really do a whole lot in the box office, but they're all considered cult classics.
Yeah, and now he's literally the greatest living horror film, sci-fi, whatever.
He's on the Walk of Fame.
Yeah, he is. I was happy to see that shit. It was about damn time.
Yeah, we failed to mention that last week.
Yeah, Fulci cool. As a whole, his whole legend, the legend of Fulci, how he was and how he acted towards, because he really did not. He was an asshole. And you wouldn't think that anybody would ever want to work with him. But a lot of the actors, there's a movie called Fulci for Fake or whatever the hell it is, and it's a whole documentary about Fulci. He talks with people in his family, people that knew him, all this shit. It's in Italian, so it's best to watch with subtitles. But it's a really good documentary. But like people saw him as an artist. You know, they wanted to work with him because of his mind and how it worked. And it's so weird, and it's so sad because when he died, he wasn't in the best health. He didn't have health care, and he didn't have a lot of money. He lived in a shitty little apartment. And Dario Argento, actually, a little more on the trivia here. Dario Argento, who there was always kind of with both of them. A lot of I watched some clips, some videos on YouTube the other day, little documentary things, and they get some things wrong. They'll say, "Oh, well, they made friends," and blah blah blah. Actually, they didn't make friends. Fulci was a very stubborn man, and he had some kind of grudge towards Argento because they were making movies at the same time, all that shit, or whatever. But they did actually have an understanding before he died about a lot of stuff, which is why Zombie 2 was supposed to be Argento and Fulci collaboration, and Fulci died before that was able to happen, which is why they also I think there's in the credits or whatever, they also add Fulci in it as something, as kind of a tribute, you know. Okay. So it sucks because the man is one of the greatest horror film Italian slasher gore master, you know what I mean? Like, and he never really saw that. He saw a glimpse of it, whatever. But it's just, I don't know. There's a lot more stuff when you go to cons and stuff. You see more Fulci related stuff. There was zombies everywhere. You see zombie shirts all over the place. And it's a shame that he didn't really leave the earth in such a great way. But Argento actually was the one that paid for his funeral also. Yeah. So
I actually had a zombie shirt back when I was like 18, 19, somewhere.
Not bad.
I've had two. I need to get another one because I love this.
Good old spaghetti horror.
Like I noticed too, like a lot of the people that he works with, he works in multiple films. Like Catherine McCall, because she was in Zombie, I believe, and then she was in what was the cemetery one?
She was in
That's what cemetery.
Well, there's House of the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead, and The Beyond. She's in The Beyond, and she's in.
I thought it was the cemetery one.
Is she in all three of them, or is she just in two of them?
I think she's in two of them, but then she's also in Zombie.
She's in City of the Living Dead.
She's not in Zombie. House of the Living what?
City of the Living Dead.
City of the Okay, yeah. There was another girl that played in Zombie.
And the House by the She is in House by the Cemetery.
Okay, all right. Yeah. So I couldn't remember. So okay, so what it was is in Zombie there was another woman that looks very similar to her, and he almost got her to do these movies, but he ended up working with her on I can't remember. I think it was a City of the Living Dead was the first one maybe, and he ended up liking her attitude and whatever better than the other chick, or so it was something along those lines. But yeah, originally he was going to get the other chick from Zombie, but he decided to go with her.
Is that the Tamara Flack or whatever the fuck? I remember reading something about somebody else that he was considering for this role.
Yeah,
I think that was who it was. Maybe, I don't know.
Fran Drescher.
That was fucking god awful. All right, so that wraps up The Beyond, which leads us to our clip of the week.
Wait, you didn't ask us what we thought about our overall about the movie.
We did.
Did we?
I asked you because it was your pick.
Yeah, but usually we all just, you know.
I mean,
I was just saying, highly recommend.
Like I said, I like the visuals. The story was kind of everywhere, but I did like how you can kind of project your own conclusion to the film and what you think the beyond is. Like, it just leaves it open for a little more interpretation with what you decide that you want to make it.
Yeah, and whether or not you think there's a connection between the three films, part of the trilogy there, you could just sit down one night and watch all three of them and have a good time.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I was going to say. It's a great triple feature for all three of them. I mean, if you want to throw in the fourth one, throw in Zombie.
Like I said, they're running time 87 minutes, so I mean, they're quick films. Like, they're all...
And they're fun. They're fun ones. You get pizza, have some friends over, have some beers, have some bud. It's a good time. It always. I have a lot of marathons where it's just Lucio Fulci all day long.
Beer, bud, and blood.
Right.
There you go.
Woo.
So it's time. It's Vader time. See if we get Vader bombed for this clip of the week. Dun dun dun.
Again! Don't! I told you everything!
I know, Rick. I know you did.
Let's mention Dark Man.
I was gonna say, yeah.
But let's
Liam Neeson's is my shit.
Terrifying. But I love that movie. We probably didn't do that one before too long.
Speaking of Sam Raimi, too, was in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man, whenever Peter Parker gets knocked out by one of the ghost bombs or whatever,
Goats.
They keep showing little images of the spider scene from the Beyond, because Sam Raimi was a huge Fulci fan as well.
Makes sense.
So he did a little ode to the Fulcher.
Fulcher-Rooney.
Fulcher-Risky.
Fulci lives.
And as we do every week, after the clip of the week, we run some ads. Let's see what the boys got going on.
Hey everybody, Laser Trading Company is on YouTube. See some of the videos from Mike's travels and experiences. If you haven't already, please head over and subscribe. 7,800 and growing. Thank you all. Laser Trading Company is also available on eBay with various merchandise and collectibles. Hundreds of great gift ideas. That's Laser Trading Company. Laser Trading Company. Laser Trading Company.
You know him from Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, Nasty Nation, Graveyard Talk, and the Video Store Clerks Podcast. He is the creator of Stoner Gore.
Jack Nasty! And if you're looking for the latest in extreme horror, head over to Amazon.com. Look up Chuck Nasty, and the following titles are available. Along with the latest album, Decay of Man, from Bastard Sons of a Judas Goat, available on Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube now.
Along with Chuck's newest additions,
Twisted Eyeball Juice. Hell yeah. That's my collection. It just came out too long ago. And Dax actually came up. My son Dax came up with the title for it and the concept of the cover. And Rocking Chair is my novella that was in another anthology at one point. And I decided to put it out as a single. And people should buy them because they're
Amazon.
Really cool.
Get them.
Yeah, man.
Get them.
Hell yeah.
And Michael.
What's up?
Pick is up for next week. What
do you got
shit for us kids?
Well, I was thinking, you know what? I haven't seen this movie in a while, and it might be time to revisit it since it's been 25 years since it came out. It is Guy Ritchie's Snatch, starring Jason Tatum and Brad Pitt. So, I haven't seen it in a while. I was like, man, I remember I liked the film back in the day, and I just figured, yeah, let's revisit it and then see how we feel about it.
I like Dags.
Fucking Dags.
I like Dags.
I can dig it. I haven't seen it
Dags. Well, there you have it. Next week, Guy Ritchie's Snatch. Just sounds weird. But anyway, we are your video store clerks. We will see you next week on the Snatch.
Jesus.
For now, we are out, but we will see you next Tuesday. Peace.
Zombie.